Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another episode review from Season 6 of The Loud House. Today's episode is titled Food Courting. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. In this episode, Leni tries to help Miguel get hooked up with a food service worker named Gavin, but her attempts at matchmaking don't go over too well. That's because Gavin thinks Leni is the one who's interested in him, and she tries to keep Miguel from finding that out. But in the end, it's revealed that Miguel is okay with Leni liking Gavin, and that he's really happy for her. The episode ends with Leni and Gavin trying to hit it off, while it appears Miguel may be hitting it off with another food service worker named Felix. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. Initially, I thought this episode was going to take the predictable path of getting two characters together for a date, which would then end in disaster, and yet both characters would still end up together. However, this episode took a much different path, and if I may say, a much better one. But let's start at the beginning. The story began with Miguel, clearly head over heels in love for some guy named Gavin who works at the mall, and Miguel was beyond nervous just trying to talk to the guy and thought Gavin would never go for someone like him. I mean, with those looks, and when you consider how talented he is at preparing food as if he were putting on a show, yeah, I would be pretty apprehensive too. So Leni tried to ease Miguel into casual conversation with Gavin, and both attempts ended in the way you would have expected. First, Miguel flubbed up everything he was going to talk about, and then he did that thing where he just repeated everything Leni was telling him through an earpiece, including the dialogue she was having with Scoots. Finally, Leni's attempt to pair her friend and his crush in the love tunnel at Dairyland ended with her, not Miguel, getting on the ride, and that's when the shocking reveal happened. Gavin figured out what Leni had been doing with Miguel the whole time and said he felt the same way, but not for Miguel. It turned out he had an interest in Leni and thought she was the one hiding behind Miguel, not the other way around. I honestly was not expecting that to happen, since my first thought was Gavin would give Miguel a try after Leni talked him up on the ride. However, I thought this plot twist was very interesting because not only did it make the episode not so predictable, but it made Gavin a more realistic and multi-dimensional character. By that, I mean the story didn't present him as either strictly straight or strictly gay, which usually seems to be the case most of the time when it comes to the show's characters. This time we have a character who comes off as bisexual, something we hadn't really seen in a character since Luna all the way back in Season 2. So yeah, I greatly appreciated how Gavin indicated how he could go both ways, saying he still thought Miguel was a great guy, and how he also wanted to hook up with Leni. I know that may not be definitive proof in saying he does in fact swing for both teams, but that's my headcanon and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, now would be a good time to talk about the one who ended up stuck in the middle of the conflict, and that would be Leni. I'll start off by saying this is the 5th time Leni has developed feelings for some guy throughout the series. First there was Hugh, then Chaz, then that nameless Cowlick guy, then Scott from the movie, still non-canon in my book, and now Gavin. She sure knows how to pick 'em, doesn't she? And why not? What's there to not like about Leni? Gavin clearly saw something in her and wanted to get to know her better. You don't stand outside a girl's house with a boombox and pay tribute to the movie Say Anything just for kicks. Also, let's just be honest. Despite her best efforts to keep Gavin away from Miguel and from having it be known her friend's crush was actually crushing on her, Leni was definitely interested in Gavin too. The way she blushed when Gavin said he likes her, the way she looked at him when he brought her some food, and her reaction to him singing a little love song very much indicated that her feelings for him were mutual. Still, I have to give props to Leni for at least trying to call off the relationship Gavin was trying to start. It showed how she was willing to put her friend before herself, something she's been known to do in episodes like Shop Girl. She was willing to throw away the chance at love just to avoid the risk of ruining a good coworker and best friend relationship. Seeing Miguel freak out when it looked like Leni was stealing Gavin away from him legitimately made her feel guilty, and you just feel so bad for her when it happened. However, Miguel reassured Leni by saying he knew she would never intentionally steal Gavin away from him, and that he's fine if those two hooked up. He appreciated how she went out of her way to try and avoid Gavin just to spare his feelings, and even admitted she and him would make a cute couple. Normally, you'd expect someone to feel hurt if they found out their BFF was trying to hook up with the person their bestie knew full well they wanted to date, but not Miguel. He proved that he's very mature in handling rejection, and that he's not going to stop being Leni's friend because of what was going on between her and Gavin. He wanted Leni to be happy the same way Leni wanted Miguel to be happy, showing how both put others before themselves. Now that's the definition of a strong, secure, and selfless friendship. By the end, Leni got to hit it off with Gavin, and Miguel started falling for another mall employee named Felix, who seemed to drop a subtle hint for liking Miguel earlier in the episode. It may be a convenient happy ending when you think about how quick Miguel got over the idea of not being able to date Gavin, but love works in strange ways, and you just never know how someone feels about you until they help you out of a water fountain. Twice. So say it with me, people. Miguel x Felix. Aww. Overall, this was another fantastic Leni episode, and this time we got to see some character development from Miguel, where we find out he's not the best at starting relationships and how he isn't going to let any man he loves come between him and his BFF co-worker. Leni tried to play matchmaker and instead ended up being the one matched up with Miguel's crush, something she didn't want, but also kinda wanted at the same time. Gavin was also a pretty decent minor character, and another example of bisexual representation on the show. Again, that's just my personal headcanon. In a way, Leni and Miguel both proved how selfless they can be when it comes to putting their happiness aside for someone else's happiness, and it only validates how strong their friendship can be when it comes to withstanding something as powerful as love. They both got together with someone by the end, and whether Felix and Miguel will be seen hanging out together in future episodes is not written in stone, but I am curious to see if Leni x Gavin will become official in the series. Considering the fallout of Leni's previous relationships, I very much doubt it, but one can always hope. With that said, I give Food Courting a 9.5 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Food Courting. I will end this review with something I have been pondering as the episode played out. Where the heck was Fiona the entire time? She had been a staple to Leni's co-worker and mall-based episodes for the longest time, and it felt weird not seeing her with Leni and Miguel. Considering she was once trying to hit it off with other food court employees at the mall back in the episode Everybody Loves Leni, you'd think she could have been useful in giving Miguel some dating advice. Instead, Leni had to once again turn to Tanya the mannequin to fill the void of Fiona not being there. One can only imagine what would happen if Leni told everyone Tanya was falling in love with a male mannequin. And you know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. So anyway, as far as the rest of the episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.